love that you brought up quantum theory, because I believe that that is the bridge to the spiritual, mystical, and the empirical and scientific. Quantum physics, quantum mechanics is really helping, like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, to demystify the mystical.
Exactly.
Right? It's not as woo-woo or as fantastical as some of this empirical data has made it seem to be. That's one. The other thing is the role of beliefs, psychosis, different cultural perspectives on it, and the concept of the observer that attaches to that, right? I remember this really cool study that I learned about at UCLA in a cultural anthropology course, psychosis around the world, and how the way we perceive it shapes how it plays out in an individual, okay? And then I'll connect it to the concept of the Ho'oponopono prayer. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No.
Okay, that's in the spiritual community. Okay, so the research was that the onset of psychosis is the same globally around the world. And, I think between 18 to 22 for men, 20 to 24 for women. I can get into a lot more detail, but let's just put it that way. Okay, the onset's the same. Usually it's because of the concept of nature versus nurture. So if they're predisposed to it and they have any kind of like harsh conditions, it tends to activate it, or it'll stay dormant if conditions don't activate it. The environment doesn't activate it. So in this case, like I said, that the age of onset is the same across the world, different cultures, different groups of people. The way it's approached, it's different. And I don't remember what groups of people it was, but like more indigenous, ceremonial-based cultures, let's say indigenous tribes, probably in Central South America, African cultures. When someone is psychotic, is perceived psychotic, they are seen as being gifted. They're not looked at negatively. They're actually looked at positively, and they have a very special function and role in society, which they tend to be the society's healer or visionary, or the one that like they go to for spiritual guidance. And because it's not medicated, it tends to resolve in the early 40s by itself. Now here in Western culture, when someone has a psychotic break, we medicate it. And we look at it negatively, and we look at it as someone who is a threat or threatening or sick or gravely disabled, right? We look at it as a disability, right? And we medicate it, and that creates this revolving pattern of just never resolving it. It just gets worse, and you medicate it further, and then there's a lot of guilt, shame spirals that come with it, and a lot of paranoia that comes with it, and a lot of aggression that comes with it, because the medication is messing with the brain chemistry of someone who's already operating differently with their brain chemistry to begin with. And then the social judgment that's added to it doesn't help the process. So someone in a Western culture is viewed as having a lifelong mental disorder when they're psychotic, versus other cultures where, like I said, it resolves in itself around the early 40s. Unmedicated and revered and having a positive role, a positive function in society. They're viewed as gifted, not mentally ill. And then there's this other aspect. I think it was in Hawaii. There was a psychiatrist working in an inpatient facility and did this thing called a Ho'oponopono prayer, and the prayer is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. It's used a lot in the meditative communities. It's used a lot in breathwork communities and the spiritual communities. But the premise behind this was that the way we're viewing people who are hospitalized for psychiatric disorders, that we're viewing them as being sick. And so the I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you is I'm sorry, like for maybe some of the judgments that I'm carrying, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. So it's shifting from that I see you as a mentally ill person to I see you as a normal, healthy, whole person. And because as the observer, now we're observing them differently, going into quantum theory, they start having radical remissions. They start healing and resolving because they're not viewed as sick. Okay? I'll add more layers to it. Then there's that psychological concept of folie à deux, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is not the concept of enabling or avoiding a true disorder or true issue. It's about not seeing a person as being sick, which I think the language in the mental health industry has changed that way. Or here in the United States, it's very positive oriented, right? Like, for example, we don't call people mentally retarded anymore. We say intellectual disabilities,
yeah.
right? There's a softer approach in the words that we're using and the perception that we're having. And I think quantum theory, the concept of the collective unconscious, has something to do with that. We're evolving. Our psyche is evolving. We're taking that unconscious mindset to the conscious awareness or mindfulness to resolve it. We're bringing the shadows into the light.
Yes.
And a shadow can never consume a light. The light will always consume the shadow. And so seeing the unconscious patterns as shadows, bringing them into the light, that's how you heal it. That's what therapy does.
Yes.
That's what breathwork does. That's what meditation does. That's what quantum theory is trying to get us to understand.